morning. A lot of us have family and friends coming home over the next few weeks. Some of us are going home, earlier homes, perhaps. This is a song for everyone.
Everyone on earth has things they need, things that they cannot do without. When they clothe enough to chase their dreams, they pack their childhood up and they set out to find a trade on which they can survive. For walls, a roof, a door to call their own. And as the seasons change, they laugh and cry, learn what it's like to live alone. But when they need someone to talk to about anything at all, someone who will catch them when they're just about to fall, someone who will listen and then listen when they're gone, when they need someone to love them, they go home. They're searching for some meaning in their life. They look around for something that will last, and they find it in a husband or a wife. So begin to recreate the past. Their babies learn to walk and then to run. Soon they think they're ready for the world. There's no way you can stop what you've begun. Just give them love, someday they will return. We need someone to talk to about anything at all, someone who will catch them when they're just about to fall, someone who will listen and then listen when they're gone. When they need someone to love them, they go home. At the door, you know that it's still yours. And when I need someone to talk to about anything at all, someone who will catch me when I'm just about to fall, someone who will listen and then miss me when I'm gone. When I need someone to love me, I go home. When I need someone to love me, I go home.
Welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Utica. I'm Carol Gable, the current president of the board. If you're joining us for the first time, a special welcome to you. If you're online, you'll find a link in the chat that will let us know more about you. If you're here, please stay for the social time and snacks following the service. You'll find us eager to connect. This is a church where all are welcome, all faith traditions, gender identities, doubts and convictions, sorrows and joys. Every part of your whole self is welcome here. Our congregation acknowledges, in this Native American Heritage Month particularly, that the church is situated on ancestral lands of the United Nations, one of the original nations of the Haudenosaunee, or the Iroquois people. Haudenosaunee means people who build a house. On this land, in this church, we are a people who build a faith community. Let us open our hearts and minds to the experience of community and the wisdom of love. And let me introduce you to our guest minister today, Reverend Douglas Taylor, who serves the UU Binghamton Church since 2003. This will be his third service at our church. He is a fourth-generation Unitarian Universalist and the son of an ordained UU minister. We welcome you to our pulpit. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for inviting me here and for having me. I bring greetings from your sibling congregation down Route 12. Binghamton Unitarian Universalist says hello. I begin with just a small confession of a little bit of confusion. The chalice lighting will happen just after the hymn, rather than right now. Sorry for the confusion, but here we go with the call to worship. All right. Here we go with the call to worship from elder colleague Jack Mendelson, who writes this. Here in this sanctuary of ancient dreams and wisdom and beauty, we come to grow, to be healed, to stretch mind and heart, to be challenged, renewed, to be helped in our own continuing struggle for meaning and for love, to help build a world with more justice and mercy in it, to be counted among the hopers and doers. In the face of cynicism, darkness, brutality around us and within us, we seek to align ourselves with a living community that would affirm rather than despair, that would think and act rather than simply adjust and succumb. Here, we invite the spirit of our own humanity and the healing powers under, around, through, and beyond it to give us the nerve and grace, the toughness and sensitivity to search out the truth that frees and the life that maketh all things new. Please join me in our opening hymn. It is in our hymnal as number 313, an old chestnut from Malvina Reynolds, as I recall. Yeah. What a piece of work are we? Recognizing the beauty around us and within us, in voice and spirit we gather to light our chalice. May we savor the beauty of our abundance and diversity, always cherishing one another and our earth. May we remember to inhale the lushness in life, knowing that we are a people of beauty. I have brought a story. So one of the gifts that came to our congregation was a gift of a member who compiled what was known as the Multicultural Library of Children's Stories from maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. And she donated a full collection of that, maybe 30, 35 books, to the Broome County Library near where we live, the Urban League, and a couple other places, and she donated a full copy to the church as well. And so every now and then I like to dig into that collection to look for a story that connects with the message that I'm going to be offering. And this one, I Like Myself, does exactly that. The slides are up there if you're wanting to see the wonderful pictures. Begins, I like myself. I'm glad I'm me. There's no one else I'd rather be. I like my eyes, my ears, my nose. I like my fingers and my toes. I like me wild. I like me tame. I like me different and the same. I like me fast. I like me slow. I like me everywhere I go. I like me on the inside, too, for all the things I say and do. Inside, outside, upside down, from head to toe and all around, I like it all. It all is me, and me is all I want to be. And I don't care in any way what someone else might think or say. I may be called a silly nut, a crazy cuckoo bird. So what? I'm having too much fun, you see, for anything to bother me. Even when I look a mess, I still don't like me any less. Because nothing in this world, can change what's deep inside. And so, no matter if they stop and stare, no person ever, anywhere, can make me feel that what they see is all there really is to me. I'd still like me with fleas, or warts, or a silly snout that snorts, or knobby knees, or hippo hips, or purple polka-dotted lips, or beaver breath, or stinky toes, or horns protruding from my nose, or yikes with spikes all down my spine, or hair that's like a porcupine. I still would be the same, you see. I like myself because I'm me. And that's our story. I like myself because I'm me. Now, on a more serious note, I have another reading. This one comes from author Cole Arthur Riley in a book called This Here Flesh. She offers this excerpt in describing something her father taught to her. When my father was in 5th grade, he signed up for a day program at school run by Alvin Ailey's American Dance Theater. He was only trying to get out of class, but he ended up being asked to do one of their short residences for kids in urban centers. I can't tell you why I said yes. Boredom, maybe. I wasn't a dancer. But he's in class on that first day, and he gets brave, and all of a sudden he hits a jeté, like he's not ashamed of it. And the whole room stops as he levitates in the air. Man, when I tell you I could fly back then. He is suspended in the air like that for so long, and his teachers have time to pay attention to every part of him. And as they're delighting and he's still flying, he has time to really take account of himself, his thin limbs stretching to the ends of the earth, his big globe eyes blinking back at him in the mirror like stars in a constellation. He says he felt the muscles around his knees become mighty. I didn't know my body could do the things that it did. When he finally landed, it was the next day. And he was both terrified and proud, in awe of his body. He never saw it the same again. Years later, when he was in the army, doubled over on the 20-mile march, fearing that he couldn't take another step, he remembered this, the resilience, the strength, the beauty of his once tiny body. And it's his own constellation that comes over him and stands him upright again. He says, it's not arrogant to wow yourself every once in a while. It's not arrogance, it's just paying attention. Wonder includes the capacity to be in awe of humanity, even your own. It allows us to jettison the dangerous belief that things worthy of wonder can only be located in nature hikes and scenic overlooks. This can distract us from the beauty flowing through us daily. For every second that our organs and bones sustain us is a miracle. When those bones heal, when our wounds scab over, this is our call to marvel at our bodies, their regeneration, their stability or frailty. This grows our sense of dignity. To be able to marvel at the face of our neighbor with the same awe we have for a mountaintop, the sunlight reflecting, this manner of vision is what will keep us from destroying each other. Our caution is not because those who focus on beauty in order to dismiss tragedy or to disguise feelings of their own inadequacy. When we ourselves feel ugly and insignificant, or the pain of the world feels unbearable, it can be very comforting to talk of mountains and sunsets. We train our focus on beauty out there. This poem, that architecture, because it's easier than bearing witness to our own story. We begin to gravitate not toward beauty, but toward illusion. In this state, you are not approaching what you seek, you are running from your own face. But this is not the way of wonder. Wonder requires a person not to forget themselves, but to feel themselves so acutely that their connectedness to every created thing comes into focus. In sacred awe, we are a part of the story. Thus ends our reading. I'm a new grandfather. My granddaughter turns 8 months this coming week. She, like all children, is a delight to behold. She has been crawling for a little bit. She likes solid food. She loves to be outside and delights in standing. Her fine motor skills are steadily improving, and she's good at grasping things with her little hands. Occasionally, she will just hold her hands up to look at. She'll just look at them, and she'll flex her fingers, and she'll pivot her wrist. Just staring at her hand, just beholding her own self in wonder. I was telling my spouse about the reading that we had that I offered you just now from Cole Arthur Riley, in which the author's father describes an experience when he was in dance class and he makes this particular leap and he surprises himself about what his body does. And he says that line, and I told my wife this line, it's not arrogant to wow yourself every once in a while. It's not arrogance, it's just paying attention. And my granddaughter, as I'm describing this scene to my spouse, at that exact moment, lifts up a hand and wows herself. Our opening hymn, "Oh, what a piece of work we are," is not one, at least in Binghamton, that we sing very often. Nowadays, if somebody says, "Oh, he's a real piece of work," it is not meant as a compliment. That is some shade. But an earlier rendering of that phrase was intended to signal awe. How marvelously wrought, the hymn says. It's not arrogance to wow yourself every once in a while. It's just paying attention. Our bodies are locations of wonder and beauty. All the world's wondrousness is not contained in the birds and the waterfalls and the sunlight at dawn. We, too, are locations of awe and amazement, if we will but pay attention. Do you pay attention? Do you love your body? I know loving your own body is fraught in our culture. There is so much shame poured onto us about our bodies. Are they thin enough? Are they curvy enough? Are they soft enough or hard enough? Are they the wrong color, the wrong size, the wrong shape? The shame that we are encouraged to have about our bodies is boundless. James Baldwin once wrote, "It took many years of vomiting up all the filth I'd been taught about myself and half believed before I was able to walk on the earth as though I had a right to be here." This can be caught up in racism and sexism, homophobia or fat phobia, or just plain old run-of-the-mill family of origins toxicity. It can be an act of liberation to love yourself, to love your body. Do you notice now and then just how wondrous and beautiful you are? It is a grounding virtue, a root value for living to be able to see our own beauty. Beauty is necessary. Baldwin talked about unlearning the negative so that he could walk on the earth as though he had a right to be here, to belong. With Baldwin, I say that when we are able to belong within our own skin, then we are able to belong anywhere. Do you feel like you belong? Loving our own bodies, being wowed by ourselves now and then, opens us into so much more. It's a grounding virtue to be aware of our own beauty. Are you rooted in beauty? Early in this pandemic, back when we thought that it would go on for maybe a few months, before we knew it would stretch for years. A few wise souls started talking about somatic practices, embodied spiritual practices. This became a theme for some of my collegial ministerial gatherings back there in 2020. More than once, I attended a program focused on somatic practices, about grounding, embodied resilience, getting back into our own bodies. What a gift it was, this to be invited into this practice. I am more familiar with a spiritual practice that leads me away from my body. I do a regular sitting meditation with silence and a practice of emptying my thoughts. While learning to do this sort of silent meditation, thoughts could intrude, and they would often be about my body. Maybe something would itch, or I would have an ache, or I'd want to wiggle or pivot or fidget a little bit. And the goal that I'd learned in this form of silent meditation, this emptying, was to just notice this desire to fidget maybe, or to itch a body part, and to notice it and just release it. But these somatic practices that we were being offered here at the beginning of the pandemic as ministers was an offer to focus my attention on my body. When my attention was on this or that part of my body, the point was not to gently notice it and release it. My point was to gently notice it and embrace it. Here we all were, isolated, unable to be together in person, each of us alone in our homes or empty churches, at our computer screens as ministers, longing to connect across this lonely distance. And our bodies were an invitation. We were invited into seeing and sensing our own bodies, to appreciate how our bodies had survived up to this moment, showing up in the hard times, to notice how marvelously wrought. And here's the thing. The activity was designed to help with the isolation. It may feel a little counterintuitive, but it worked. It was intended to help us all connect to each other, to support and be supported by each other in our isolation. Listen to this. Adrienne Marie Brown has said, belonging doesn't begin with other people accepting us. It begins with our acceptance of ourselves, of the particular life and skin each of us was born into, and the work that that particular birth entails. From that deep place of belonging to ourselves, we can understand that we are inherently worthy of each other. If you feel isolated or disconnected, if it's the pandemic or any other circumstance causing you to feel cut off, there is a healing way to begin just with yourself. Adrienne Marie Brown has been an important teacher for many Unitarian Universalists lately, leading workshops at General Assembly and for religious professionals. She's not a UU, but I think she likes us. She helps me to see the connection between my own deep place of belonging, as she said in that quote just above, within myself, where I can, as she says, understand that we are inherently worthy of each other. I can notice the beauty and wondrousness of my own body. It's not arrogant to wow yourself every once in a while. It's not arrogance, it's just paying attention. Now, I do know being self-focused has a negative edge. I understand how loving yourself and thinking yourself quite beautiful can show up as a personality flaw. But this spiritual practice of loving your own body, of being wowed by yourself now and then, is not an exercise in vanity. In the reading we had this morning, Riley warned against imagining beauty as something out there, only found in art or in nature, or only affirmed through the eyes of another. She wrote, "In this state you are not approaching what you are seeking. You are running from your own face." Vanity is about seeking external proof of your beauty in others' eyes. We are talking now about acknowledging the internal evidence of that wondrous beauty within ourselves. To be truly self-aware of my own beauty does not lead me into vanity. Instead, it leads me deeper into connection with the beauty of others. Riley talked about it as the capacity to be in awe of humanity, even your own. Loving our own bodies, being wowed by ourselves now and then, opens us to so much more. And so I want to talk for a moment about this more. I want to talk about what grows from this root of self-beauty, of being aware of your own wondrousness. When we know that we belong to ourselves, when we love our own bodies as they are, it opens us to a stance of acceptance for others that will almost automatically be extended to others as we do that. The same paying attention that allows us to wow ourselves every once in a while will also allow us to be wowed by others as well. We are meant to be connected. We are meant to have roots that go down, but also runners that travel out, to use this plant metaphor. Roots and runners. We are meant to be in this together that we may all thrive. This line of reasoning takes us into conversations about the welfare of all those in need, into convictions of liberation and justice, into connections of respect and love without jealousy for the success and joy of others. These conversations and convictions and connections are the more that I'm talking about. These convictions and connections and conversations can arise from our simple self-awareness of our own beauty and wonder. I invite you to just take a moment and notice your own hand. Maybe not look at it, but just notice it. Be aware of it. It's a little easier for babies. I know. My granddaughter is just a little bit over half a year old, perhaps easily impressed. It's harder for us adults to realize all the layers of negativity that we have been fed through the years. But just notice your hand. You are a marvel to behold. It's not arrogant to wow yourself every once in a while. It's not arrogance, it's just paying attention. Our bodies are locations of wonder and beauty. All the world's wondrousness is not caught up in the birds and the waterfalls and the sunlight at dawn. Look at your own hand. We too are locations of awe and amazement if we will but pay attention. And what about all the other hands around us? We are meant to be connected. We are meant to perceive each other as beautiful. We each carry the image of the divine. Theologically, the image of God shows up in conversations in churches a lot, even Unitarian Universalist churches, with our atheistic, humanistic bent so prevalent among us. It still comes up. We each carry an image of the divine, we say, that what might it mean communally? Cole Arthur Riley raises this point in her book. She says, some theologians say It is not an individual, but a collective people who bear the image of God. I quite like this, she says, because it means we need a diversity of people to reflect God more perfectly. Anything less, and the image becomes pixelated and grainy, still beautiful, but lacking in clarity. So my message today is not a message of embracing just your own beauty, your own body. It's also a message of liberation and wonder. All of humanity is caught up in this image of the holy. You, yes, certainly you, but also everyone else. In fact, only with everyone else. When you feel isolated or disconnected, you can reliably turn to your own body for wisdom and wonder. You are a location of beauty and awe. And from there, do you notice all of the other amazing people as well? When we are rooted in beauty, we will belong in this world. When we are rooted in beauty, we will see the amazing beauty of others. When we are rooted in our own beautiful bodies, we will respect and honor the bodies of others, particularly the vulnerable among us. When we are grounded in beauty, we can connect through the roots and the runners to everything else, and we will bring more justice and care to the world. When we are rooted in beauty, we will belong. When we belong, we will welcome others to also belong, and from there, every good thing can grow. It is not arrogance to believe this is true. It's just paying attention. In a world without end, may it be so. I invite you to sing with me another hymn. Again, from our gray hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition. This is number 22, Dear Weaver of Our Lives' Design. How true the words that a joy shared is doubled, and a sorrow shared put in half. Thank you all for what you have offered. Please join me now in the spirit of prayer and meditation. My colleague Lynn Cox offers these words that I read. Spirit of life, who draws us together in a web of holy relationships, make your presence known with us and in us and among us. Remind us that we are not alone in history. Ignite us with the courage of the living tradition. Remind us that we are not alone in entering the future. Anchor us with patience and perseverance. Remind us that we are not alone in our times of grief and pain. Comfort us with your Spirit manifest in the human hands and voices. Remind us that we are not alone in joy and wonder. Inspire us to honor and extend the beauty we find in this world. Divine music of the universe, let our hearts beat in diverse and harmonious rhythms. Cooperating with an everlasting dance of love, may we move with the rhythms of peace. May we move with the rhythms of compassion. May we move with the rhythms of justice. Source of stars and planets and water and land, open our hearts to all of our neighbors. Open our souls to a renewal of faith. Open our hands to join together in the work ahead. So be it, blessed be. Amen. Amen.
It's now time for our offering. We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. The offering will now be received.
If you would join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice, they're printed in the order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. And the benediction words are also listed in there. If you so wish to read along and out loud, you may do so. By George Brooks, who says, "Now go in peace, celebrate the beauty, search for the good, and may all that we do be done in love." Amen.
Could find out. I left my folk and friends with the aim to clear my mind out. Well, I hit the rowdy road, and many kinds I met there. Many stories told me of the way to get there. So on and on I go, the seconds take the time out. There's so much left to know, and I'm on the road to find out. Well, in the end I'll know, but on the way I wonder. Through descending snow and through the frost and thunder. Well, I listen to the robin song, saying you don't have to worry. I listen to the wind come howl, telling not to worry. So on and on I go, seconds tick the time out. So much left to know, and I'm on the road to find out. Found my head one day when I wasn't even trying. And here I have to say, 'cause there is no use in lying. Yes, the answer lies within, so why not take a look now? Kick out the devil's sin, pick up a good book now. Ooh. Yes, the answer lies within, why not take a look now? Kick out the devil's sin, pick up a good book now. Ooh. Yes, the answer lies within, so why not take a look now? Kick out the devil's sin, pick up a good book now.